cast of Wicked okay?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
The movie is set to come out this month and the press tour is in full effect. Seemingly, every one of these interviews with the main stars, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo, inevitably devolves into tears. First one of them cries, then the other cries, then they comfort each other, and then both cry, and then the interviewer cries, and then the comments are full of people watching and crying. And I have to say, I find all of this a little fake. Now, I've never watched Wicked on Broadway, but I've been reliably told by Wikipedia and the movie trailers that this movie is about friendship, specifically female friendship. And fans of this movie love that life has mimicked art, and the two leads who play Glinda and Elphaba have found the same kind of love and respect for each other in real life.
Can you each tell me something about the other as a scene partner that you really appreciated and contributed to making that so powerful in your film?
Oh my God.
That's a big question, isn't it?
I mean,
She's very patient with me.
likewise. I think we're both... Ooh, don't look at me like that.
Okay, they're crying again. Maybe we can check in on how the men of the film are doing.
Congrats on all the success. Happy holidays, Access Hollywood. That is so special. As if watching the film isn't emotional enough.
I want you to be happy, and I root for you.
Oh my God.
Never mind, let's get back to the women. The reason I find all this fake is how the simplest of questions seems to bring forth Niagara Fall levels of emotion.
Cynthia, you did it, babe. Babe, like, from an alphabet, from an autistic alphabet, oh my God, you did it. I want to look you both in the eye and say you did it.
Are the adults in the room with us? Why has this unabridged show of emotion become so fashionable now? This problem goes beyond the Wicked press tour. It's commonplace to become emotional in interviews. Many people attribute the beginning of this trend to this weepy speech that Gwyneth Paltrow gave at the Oscars in 1999.
Tremendous magnitude, and for that I thank my family, my mother, Blythe Tanner, who I love more than anything, and
Some calling it the day sincerity died. And since then, things have only gotten worse.
handle it. We all have made those mistakes.
But we'll come back to Drew Barrymore in a second. Let's check back in on the Wicked gals.
I just know what it's like to feel like you don't fit. Like you are just like outside of the ordinary, like there's no room for you. And so many people watching who feel the same.
Absolutely.
So I feel like it's a bit of a hug for anyone who feels that way.
If like kids can feel that, then yeah. That's the point. Yeah.
Isn't it interesting that the most privileged people in the world are intent upon telling us that they're somehow saving lives with these movies?
I wish I had that when I was a kid growing up to see this. My God, like I wish. And so, can you imagine how many lives this is going to be saving?
Films and TV shows used to be considered entertainment for audiences, but now every project is presented like some sort of life-saving drug, and the actors are noble doctors administering the medicine to the sick, poor, and wretched masses.
What's the message that you want all your queer fans that see Wicked to take away from this?
That you deserve all the good things, that your difference is what makes you special, that your queerness is beautiful, that I love you.
These actors are desperate to believe that they're doing audiences a favor when they take on these high-paid roles and walk red carpets in the highest of fashions. And I think there's a specific reason for that. Acting is a noble profession. I'm not talking about the phone-it-in types of performances that are common now. I'm talking about the art of acting that used to be foundational in Hollywood. But compared to other professions, it's not particularly hard. The reward for becoming a successful actor, however, is completely life-altering. Suddenly, you're catapulted into stardom, not just in your local community, state, or even country, but the entire world knows your name, knows who you are. Overnight, your life goes from anonymous, everyday living to limos, bodyguards, and red carpets, with obsessed fans enthusiastically clapping at every mundane story. It's weird, and I would argue that someone experiencing that probably feels some form of imposter syndrome, since the work-to-reward ratio doesn't really line up. So to compensate for this deficit, the modern Hollywood actors seem to to think that they should use their fame and newfound voice to speak for the little guy. A noble desire, but unfortunately woefully misplaced.
They're incredibly diverse in the internals. It's just the diversity of this cast here.
Right.
It's a diverse team. You're such a champion for diversity, and you're a woman of color as well, and making sure that there's representation.
This superhero team looks like the world.
Diversity.
It's amazing.
Well, for both of you too, you know, this film has such diversity, such inclusion, an international cast.
Guys, look at the moon.
Because it translated into the actors endlessly talking about how representation matters, women have it so hard, and white dudes equals bad. To make things worse, the culture in modern Hollywood is overly preoccupied by press and publicity. Gone are the days when actors simply surfaced to promote movies, and in between projects went back to their humdrum lives. Most actors today are constantly afraid that if people aren't talking about them, they won't matter anymore. So they're falling over themselves to nab headlines and keep their tenuous grip on relevance. This means that the actors are more concerned with how things appear rather than actually working for the good of others. In this utterly superficial culture, virtue signaling is the easiest way to stay with the in crowd. These actors could be at soup kitchens helping the homeless, working with foster programs to help children, or visiting centers that help people overcome addiction. All real issues facing the people of America. But no, that isn't nearly as glamorous, not to mention easy, as telling an entertainment reporter while dressed in custom couture how terribly victimized you are. Cynthia Erivo is starring in one of the most anticipated films of this year. But you don't understand, she is a victim. But you're certainly not going to be a victim, especially not a victim of online hackers. Thanks to our wonderful sponsor, Surfshark. Surfshark is a VPN that keeps all of your personal information safe and secure, especially on those days that you're working at a cafe because your roommate won't stop singing. The Wi-Fi is insecure, but you needn't be, because Surfshark has your back. When you're back home and just want to relax and watch your favorite TV show on your favorite streaming service, Surfshark, like a real pal, lets you change your virtual location so you can unlock content from around the world. And even when you're working from home, Surfshark is a must because it shields you from malware and unwanted apps trying to access your data or even your camera. So check out Surfshark today by going to surfshark.com/baggage and get 4 extra months of Surfshark by using the code BAGGAGE. They do offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so give them a try risk-free. Again, you can check them out at surfshark.com/baggage or scan the QR code on screen, and don't forget to use my code BAGGAGE. Thank you for listening, and now back to the video. As I was saying, Cynthia Erivo is such a victim because she's a woman. She's a woman of color. She's a queer woman of color. And you don't get how utterly devastating that combination is for a person growing up in Western culture, where all of those things are accepted. She was so oppressed and discriminated against that she has never received a job or any respect. No, wait, she's starring in one of the most anticipated movies of this year. I know. She's been featured on several magazine covers, and she was even named Icon of the Year. But still, she's such a victim. You really couldn't understand the depths of her despair. In fact, not so long ago, some cruel prankster changed the poster for the Wicked film and erased Cynthia and her identity. Cynthia took a stand against this assault, saying that this was the wildest, most offensive thing she had ever seen. She reminded this bigot that she is a real-life human being who chose to look right down the barrel of the camera to you, the viewer. Because without words, we communicate with our eyes. To edit my face and hide my eyes is to erase me, and that is deeply hurtful. Bravo, Cynthia. You put this devilish troll in their place. Except, this was a fan of the series who really liked the original poster from the Broadway show and took this terrible imitation and improved upon it. So maybe this lens of looking at everything from the firm position of a victim and the world as a perpetrator doesn't really make sense. Cynthia is not an oppressed woman fighting off erasure. She's a capable woman being recognized for her talent on the global stage.
It is fabulous.
Thank you.
She is fabulous.
Thank you.
And perhaps she could have some humility or grace in that position. But there's nothing that angers the feminists more than asking a woman to be humble.
There are a whole lot of women out here who, one, are not aspiring to be humble.
Humility has now turned into a feminist talking point about how men are constantly trying to control women. But my God, are they so wrong about that? Humility is a human necessity. It's impossible to be a good person, a good friend, a good wife, a good husband, a good parent, a good child, a good leader, a good boss, a good anything. It is impossible to live a good life without the key ingredient of humility. And it applies in moments just like the one that Cynthia was facing when she saw the fan art. The humble position would have have been to be grateful that people care enough about the project that you're part of to create an homage based on their own interpretation of the work. The humble position says the art is not about you, just like the character is not about you. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the creators, but more so to the fans. And you, the actor, get to embody it for a little while before you release it back to the world. This isn't about you. The opposite to the humble approach is to make everything about you. Everything is an attack. Everything is a threat to you and your identity, and nobody understands. It's self-centered, it's self-serving, and it's immature. After all the backlash she received for not having a more gracious response, here's what Cynthia had to say.
Why was it important to speak out, and what did the support?
Because I think I'm really protective of the role, and just as I'm passionate I am passionate about it, and I know that the fans are passionate about it, and I think for me it was just like a human moment of like wanting to protect the little alphabet, and that's like a human moment. I probably should have called my friends, but
your point made so much.
This is probably the most infuriating tool that the modern actresses seem to carry around in their Fendi purses. A victim-based narrative designed to make people back the hell off when they were the ones who started the fight in the first place. Rachel Zegler did exactly the same thing when she fiercely criticized the original Snow White.
Weird.
Received backlash, and rightly so. So she spun up a victim narrative and talked about how she's much better than everyone.
How has that been for you, being able to navigate it?
You know, choosing thankfulness and gratefulness is choosing peace. And as much as you'd like to remind people verbally that being in the spotlight doesn't absolve you of your humanity, that you're allowed to have human moments, it doesn't necessarily do what you want it to do, and it fuels them more.
Yes, exactly.
And so, just as you said, it's like choosing to be present and know that they are probably just having a really hard day.
Yes.
And I am putting out a movie.
Amen. That's right.
All of these behaviors of just frivolous conversations, sanctimonious virtue signaling, and uncontrollable weeping has amounted to only speeding up the demise of Hollywood. And in this environment of disingenuousness, masquerading as authenticity, Drew Barrymore has somehow become the cringiest of them all.
Do you want to know, ironically, who dislikes me the most sometimes?
Who?
Myself.
Oh, me too.
Oh.
Cozying up to the guests on her show like a toddler who hasn't seen their mom all day. She stares at them, paws at them, clutches them, clearly making her guests incredibly uncomfortable. And yet this is somehow supposed to be real and authentic, but it just comes off as contrived and weird. Can we get back to restraint? Can we get back to decorum and maturity? For God's sakes, can we bring back perspective? Can we bring back adults?
My girlfriend, she took her two little girls last night, 5 and 7 years old, and I've written down what they said. At the end of it, they said, you have to be good and you have to be kind to everybody.
Whoa.
And she is a good witch.
Yeah, that's the message.
You know what I mean? It's that impact.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
It's just a movie. It's like relax.
I can always count on Denzel Washington for some much-needed perspective.
I don't play that precious nonsense. Oh, move over, get out of here. You know, your son got shot in the face, that's difficult. Making a movie is a luxury.
As for the rest of the actors, for all their talk of authenticity and being themselves, the stars are becoming more and more manufactured every day, and with that, speeding up their growing irrelevance. And I, for one, cannot wait until this version of stardom is completely extinct.